Hey, it is August baseball. It is time for us to update our power rankings.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for quite a while now. And this is my sixth full season here at the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm doing double duty this year. I am giving you Locked On MLB 5 days a week. At least for the regular season, I'm giving you Locked On A's. Hey, if you're following us on Twitter at Locked On MLB Pods or whatever Twitter is called now, same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. If you leave any messages on there, put on that hashtag everyday Sully. We have an idea who's listening to us every single day. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs, they're done, but the summer games are going on. And FanDuel is hooking us up all summer long for all customers with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Hey, let's get our show started today. First and foremost, let's get to the trivia question. I brought up the fact that the White Sox stink. Maybe you already knew that. And I pointed out that the worst team in White Sox history was the 106 loss team from 1970. But I mentioned that there was a Hall of Famer who played every day and batted over 300 that year. Who was that Hall of Famer? Well, Stephen Colaterra guessed Dick Allen. Well, here's the problem with that. Dick Allen is not in the Hall of Fame. He should be. Absolutely, he should be, but is not. Scott Horsemeyer got it right. The answer was Luis Aparicio, who had gone from the White Sox to Baltimore, and then in the early 70s returned back to the White Sox before finishing a career with Boston. He is currently our oldest living Hall of Famer. Before we get into the power rankings, I brought up something the other day. You have Josh Lowe or Lau, or Nathaniel Lowe or Lau, or Brandon Lowe or Lau. We need some consensus. Fluffhead. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. I think it's Fluffhead, 555. So it's not only is he a Fluffhead, but he's got a fake phone number from a movie. It says, I think Josh and Nathaniel are low, pronounced like pro, and Brandon is the one that's pronounced Lau, like in cow. Why isn't the phonetic writing of a word, why isn't that how we just write it? I mean, why should we have to wonder? Low, 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 low. Those are different sounds. It's crazy time. I'm recording this in the afternoon of Monday. The games have not started yet. And we have our brand new power rankings. The power rankings are in. And once again, reminding you, the power rankings are done. These are not necessarily how I rank them. We've asked all of the Locked On hosts to basically rank them. We have a little thing. How would we rank these teams 1 to 30? Now, I got an interesting question from someone, and forgive me, I don't remember who sent it, so this is completely on me that I don't remember this. So can you find in your heart to forgive me? But someone asked me that because I'm the host of Locked On MLB and the host of Locked On A's, do I get 2 votes? That was a phenomenal question, and the answer is no. I only get 1. Is that fair? I don't know, but in an election year like this, we should have as few questionable votes out there. So again, I'm going to go from bottom up, from 30 to 1. I don't think there's any doubt who 30 is. Now, by the way, I want to say something here before we go on. White Sox are obviously 30. We didn't do a power ranking last week because it was right in the middle of the trade deadline. So what I'm going to do here is that when I list the team, as we go from 30 to 1, I'm also going to show you, as of now, which is 2:30 in the PM on Monday, what their record has been since the All-Star break. So basically the last couple of weeks. How have they done the last couple of weeks? That should give us a little sense of where they are. Okay, number 30 is obviously the Chicago White Sox. They are going to be one of the historically worst teams in the history of baseball. Since the All-Star break, they're 0-16. Right now, they're playing right across the bay in Oakland. You will note that the A's have played well recently. They've won some games recently. So the fact that this is not like a battle of the bottom dwellers, the White Sox are truly, truly terrible. And what's going to happen with this team is really not clear. At number 29 are the Colorado Rockies. They've gone 7-9 since the All-Star break and made a couple of moves, but there you go. The Miami Marlins traded away a lot of their players. They're saying, hey, look, we're in a seller's market. Let's try to throw some young players in our farm system. We'll see if it works. They're number 28. They've gone 9-7 since the All-Star break. And at 27 are the aforementioned Oakland A's, who have gone 9-6 since the All-Star break, and have done well against teams like Philadelphia, like Houston, and they won the first game against LA. Played them really tough the second time round. At number 26, you've got the Angels. You know, the Angels are weird. They're not going to have Mike Trout for the rest of the year, but they have Hoppy and a couple other players who are like, maybe they're going to be good. I don't know. I can't trust them. Number 25, the Nationals have gone 7-8 since the All-Star game. The Nats have a bunch of good young players. It just did not click this year. Oh, speaking of not clicking, at number 24, the Toronto Blue Jays. Thank goodness they did not trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That would have been very sad. But they did trade away a bunch of their other players, and they're just a bad team. They should be a pennant contender, and they're a bad team. They need to shake things up in the front office. They need to shake things up with the manager. They need to do something. But they've dropped. They've gone 7-9 since the All-Star game, which is not horrible, but it's like you're trying to gain ground, and the surefire way to not gain ground is to lose more than you win. The fact that the Blue Jays are at number 24 and only the true bottom feeders of the game are keeping them out of the cesspool is pretty rotten. At number 23, the Detroit Tigers, a team that I actually picked to go to the postseason. They are falling fast. They've dropped 10 of their last 16 games and have fallen out of contention. They did not trade away Tarek Skubal, which did surprise me. The defending World Series champion Texas Rangers are falling all the way down to number 22. Max Scherzer's been shut down for the year. They traded away some of their players. They're waving the white flag unless they have an absolutely brilliant turnaround. I'm not going to see it. 21 is interesting. I think this is low for them. The San Francisco Giants are not a playoff team right now, but you're starting to see that the addition of Robbie Ray and Blake Snell, along with Webb and some of the other players they have on the team, are showing that they could pitch, and Fitzgerald can hit. It would not surprise me to see the San Francisco Giants have a very good rest of August and assert themselves in the somewhat muddied National League wild card. The Cubs are at number 20. They've gone 8-8 since the All-Star break, and I can't quite figure them out. I mean, they're a team that looked like they were going to be a big-time contender, and instead they're flopping around at the bottom of the National League Central. All right, that is the bottom 20. Now you will see, as has been the case for most of this year, the middle parts are going to be a real big-time mess. It's hard to make sense out of the middle parts because all these teams are so bunched together. When we come back, we'll try to make sense of 10 through 19. 19. All right, let's hear from our good friends at Supply House. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks from SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team. Talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade and industry professionals can join their free TradeMaster program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the TradeMaster program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service at supplyhouse.com. Hey, here's a question. Where is your hub for all of your best sports news, your sports takes, your sports opinions? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel available on YouTube and on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Check out Locked On Sports Today. It's in the description below, and it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right. Let's go on. At number 19, you have the Cincinnati Reds, who were no hit by the San Francisco Giants, who are at number 21. Go figure how some of these rankings go. The Reds have are 6-8 since the All-Star game, and seem like they're ready to, jump and make a move, but then they stumble a little bit as well. At number 18 are the completely incomprehensible Tampa Bay Rays. They trade away key players, including Randy Arozarena, and have gone 9-6 since the All-Star break, and wound up playing well against Houston, and still have a winning record. I don't get it, and neither do you. At number 17 are the frustrating Pittsburgh Pirates. They're 8-7. That record could easily be 10-5 with a hit here or a hit there against the Arizona Diamondbacks. It was a really frustrating series that Pittsburgh had with Arizona. Arizona has been the raspberry seed and the wisdom tooth of so many teams that are trying to leapfrog their way into the National League playoffs. At number 16 are the Houston Astros, who are 7-9 since the All-Star game and have fallen out of first place. In fact, as of this recording, the Houston Astros are not a playoff team. They've fallen out of first place in the American League West, and they've fallen out of a wild card spot. Houston haters are loving every minute of it. Loving every minute of it. Don't be too cocky. They're one good weekend away from getting back into it, and who knows? But they have been hit with the injury bug, and they just have not been as consistent. They are super dangerous if they happen to make it in. Keep an eye out for them. I have no clue what to make out of the St. Louis Cardinals, who are at number 15. Some days they look like world beaters. Some days they look absolutely dreadful. They've gone 7-9 since the All-Star game, and some days look like they're absolutely can powerhouse against anyone. They are a star-studded team. They've got good pitching. They have recently played in the postseason, and yet they can't get themselves on a roll, as their recent 7-9 record would demonstrate. And in this year, with so many teams bunched together in the National League wild card, you can't afford to lose dumb games like they did against the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field when they let up a flare hit here and a big double there in that loss in the 9th inning. All right, at number 14, and this I have to take on my fellow Locked On hosts. I don't get this one, why they're so low. The Seattle Mariners, yes, they've gone 7-8 since the All-Star game. They're at number 14, but they're in first place by themselves as of this recording, and we're in August, mind you. This is not April. This is August. Right now, the Mariners are in line to win the American League West. And if they do, they have the best starting rotation in the American League. If they punch their ticket, especially if they punch their ticket as a division winner, I would seriously look at the Mariners as a team that can go all the way to the World Series, based almost entirely on the fact that they have the best starting pitching in the American League, and Arozarena could give them a little bit of a juice there. I don't get why they're at 14 and why the Red Sox are at 13. Why are the Red Sox ahead of the Mariners? Someone explain that to me. Not that the Red Sox are bad. The Red Sox are 6-9 since the All-Star game. They've not looked very good. Ref Snyder had a big game the other day. Sure, Tyler O'Neill gets some big home runs, and Jared Duran is indeed an all-star. But there's something missing with the Red Sox. The Mariners are a potential pennant winner. The Red Sox are, hey, they're making improvement. See the difference? At number 11 are the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have played 15 games since the All-Star game and won 11 of them. That's right. The defending National League champions are showing that last year may not have been a fluke. They have taken the ball and run with it and are now one of the wild card teams and are frustrating the you-know-what out of teams up and down the wild card chase. They are tough. They can pitch. They're starting to hit. Ketel Marte and company are coming up with some big wins, and they came up clutch in that series in Pittsburgh. All right, that is 11 through 20. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have the top 10 that I'm going to count down. And it is a surefire bet that you know who the top 4 are, but you may not know the order. Hey, let's hear from our friends over at FanDuel. You know all about FanDuel, right? FanDuel is the place for your sports betting this summer. Look, I love sports, and this summer is a great time for sports. We got the summer games going on, all sorts of strange sports going on. Badminton. I watch badminton. Watch them go for the gold. But FanDuel lets me keep sports going whenever I want, and all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Head on over to FanDuel.com and make the best move of your summer. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. FanDuel. Let's have a good summer. Whoops. All right. Hey, let's do this as a reminder. If you enjoy our show, thanks for making Locked On MLB your first listen. If you like what I'm doing, check out Locked On A's. That's right. You get twice your Sully every day. I am hosting Locked On A's as well as Locked On MLB for the rest of this season. Here are my takes on the team that is incredibly unpredictable. They can have a month where they win only single digit in the win column, and then they put out a July where they were the best team in the American League. They're a fun, weird team, and it's a fun, weird year. As their final year in Oakland winds down, are they going to be playing in Sacramento? Will they be going to Vegas? Find out for sure on Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. The A's moved to Oakland from Kansas City, and that brings us to Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. had an unbelievable month of July and helped the Kansas City Royals post an 11-5 record since the All-Star game. They're at number 10 and trying to get a stranglehold over one of those wild card spots. The Atlanta Braves have had up and down parts of this year. Sometimes it looked like they were going to maybe win the division, and sometimes it looked like they were going to miss the playoffs altogether. They're at number 9, even though they've only gone 7-9 since the All-Star break. The Padres have made their move. They're at number 8, and they have won 11 of their last 14 games and are starting to make Dodger fans a little bit nervous. They're a talented team. They can play great baseball up and down, and they had a recent no-hitter. And despite losing Juan Soto and Blake Snell, they not only has seemed like they haven't lost a step, they seem even better. They're a dangerous team. Can you imagine if the World Series was the Padres versus the Mariners? I personally would love that. Do you know why? It would be good baseball. Which brings us to the Minnesota Twins. The Twins are at number 7. They've gone 8-6 since the All-Star game. And while they haven't been flashy, they've been pretty consistent. They have not fallen out of a playoff spot since the beginning of Memorial Day and look like a team that could be very, very dangerous in a short series. At number 6, slow and steady, wins the race in the National League Central. The Milwaukee Brewers, who have gone 7-7 since the All-Star break, but have held on to that National League Central lead without much competition. Okay, now we're going to the top 5. At number 5 are the New York Yankees. The Yankees have had an absolutely dreadful June and the first half of July. But since the All-Star break, they've dusted themselves off. Since winning that game against Boston and then going forward and sweeping Philadelphia, the Yankees are 9-6. And they've only had a couple of hard losses since the All-Star break. That first game against Toronto was rough, but then they came back and won the next 2. They're starting to win series and starting to look like they're clicking again. They could be a potentially dangerous team. At number 4 are the LA Dodgers. Now, they've gone 9-6 since the All-Star break, but they've looked a little wobbly. Ohtani is going to win the MVP. I don't know anyone's going to come close. But the Dodgers do not look invincible. But speaking of not looking invincible, all year long, the Philadelphia Phillies looked like the team to beat. They looked unstoppable. But for the last few weeks, they have been mortal. They've lost series to the Yankees. They've lost series to the Mariners. They lost series to Oakland. They are 4-11 since the All-Star break. And the fact that the Braves are only 7-9 is the only thing that has really kept the Phillies afloat on top of that division. Yes, I think they were my pick to win the World Series at the beginning of the year. Yes, if I were a betting man and I'd head over to FanDuel, I would probably put my money down on the Philadelphia Phillies. Just the other day, Zach Wheeler threw a fabulous game, and Bryce Harper can still hit left and right. But they've had a bad couple of weeks. They need to dust themselves off and show who's boss. The Baltimore Orioles are at number 2. The Orioles, now, why they're at number 2 and the Yankees are at number 5 is bizarre. The Orioles also have had a rough few months. The Orioles have also been in a situation they haven't put their aft thrusters on, but the Orioles are also a team that can win a bunch of games. Now, they could still win the American League pennant, or they could be a wild card team and be eliminated really early. It depends on how they're doing. And that brings us to the top. What team is at the top of the power rankings? That's the Cleveland Guardians. Thank you very much. 9-7 since the All-Star break. As of this recording, the Cleveland Guardians are, and say it with me, the best team in baseball. They have more wins than anyone else and held their own against the Baltimore Orioles. They are a team that can hit. They're a team that can pitch. They're a team that has depth. They just look very good. If you're a Cleveland fan, you're hoping they're not peaking right now. But the fact they're 9-7 shows they're going to pretty much win this division, not do it like superstars, just do it like a super reliable team. So let's review. The power rankings are Guardians, top 10, Guardians, Orioles, Phillies, Dodgers, Yankees, Brewers, Twins, Padres, Braves, Royals. 11 through 20 would be Diamondbacks, Mets, Red Sox, Mariners, who are way too low, Cardinals, Astros, Pirates, Rays, Reds, and Cubs. And 21 through 30 are Giants, Rangers, Tigers, Blue Jays, Nats, Angels, A's, Mariners, the Rocks, and the White Sox. Basically, everything from 6 to 16 is a jumble, an absolute jumble, as well it should be. And so there you go. Games are starting up in just a little bit here. You probably already know the results of the games there, but it's going to bring us to the trivia question. Lance McCullers Jr. Rest of this year, he has not pitched since the 2022 World Series. His career might be over. He's had a nice career, picked up a pair of World Series rings. We only acknowledge one of them, and was an all-star along the way. And, of course, was the son of Lance McCullers, who was a fine reliever for San Diego and the New York Yankees, among some other teams. What feat does Lance McCullers Jr. have in common with Jordan Montgomery? What feat does Jordan Montgomery and Lance McCullers Jr. have in common? They are linked with a weird piece of trivia, and that's the trivia on to you. So follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called now, on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. breaking down the power rankings and having some thoughts about low or low. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.